Please welcome my good friend, Mushambi Mutuma.
Good afternoon. There we go. Well, welcome. So my dad, when I was growing up, worked at Apple Computer. And really, this was an amazing experience because I got to grow up in Apple. 1998, very much like Kiv, I was obsessed with Steve Jobs. I had a black turtleneck that I used to hide in my backpack every day. I'd get to school and I'd put on my black turtleneck. It was certainly not this charming, probably a lot nerdier. And my mom hated this thing. She's like, it's so dirty. Why do you keep wearing it? That guy's creepy. In reference to Steve. But Steve is a perfect example of micro CEO thinking, and that's what I want to talk about for a little bit. What Steve was infamous for, and infamous is the right word, is building or requiring his team to work on the impossible. So Steve would come into a room, they'd be working on a new computer, a new concept. Let's say it's the iPad, and he'd say, you know what, it should be a quarter of that size. And they'd say, Steve, that's not possible. No one has ever built a device that's that slim. No one has ever built a device that holds so many songs, if you think about the iPod. And Steve said, well, you have. And they're like, all right, well, it's gonna take us at least 5 years. And he's like, you have 5 weeks. And then he would walk out of the room. And so it's not about ignoring reality or just being a difficult boss, but there's elements here that I want you to also take away. Can you create a fusion of attitude and action with your teammates, with your colleagues, with your organizations that spurs people to think or reconsider about what's impossible? Do you do that? Or are you the downer in the room that as soon as we get a brief in, as soon as we think of an idea, we think about a challenge that we're gonna solve, we say, oh, that's gonna take forever. Oh, that's gonna cost a lot. Oh, we tried that before, all right? Again, because most of you don't like change. That's what the reality distortion field is about. And so what's the translation? How do we actually do this? How do we make the future visible enough today for people to carry and look into the future? There's 5 steps. Firstly is you have to be able to describe the possible. And Steve did this. He didn't just walk out of the room and leave people behind. He gave them a starting point. He said, this is why I believe this matters. This is why I believe we can achieve this. And then he gave them the first move. He said, start here. Then the other thing is you have to remove the blockers. I work with a lot of organizations that want to build innovative cultures, but then they have a tough relationship with failure, all right? They want people to be disruptors, but they're like, but we can't lose any money. All right? Those things don't coincide. If you want the future and you want to push people to the future, you have to remove the barriers that get them from experimenting to get there.